Our overall vision is to create a Namibian nation that's knowledgeable on mental health issues. We aim to provide them with the necessary tools and the right direction that they can take in order when it comes to mental health issues, to make sure that they have the necessary tools to help themselves or a loved one. And that is essentially why we have the suicide prevention wellness talk that's coming up, because we have seen that it is a need in the Namibian nation and we have to address it ASAP.
So how do you tailor your educational content for different groups such as students, parents, and community members?
All right, at the moment, we are working with professionals from the health industry. So what we do is, with the research that they provide us, we tailor make our educational programs that are relevant to the Namibian nation to make sure that the information that we give out is relatable and it tackles the current issue that we're facing.
And what specific mental health issues beyond suicide do you focus in your programs? Is it anxiety, depression, burnout?
Since PatientCare has started, we have had men and women wellness talks, and we are currently working on developing community walks as well that's related to topics like stress, lowering your cortisol levels, and then also integrating a teaching program where we want to go out to the schools to focus on controversial topics such as neurodiversity for students in the mainstream education.
So how do you ensure your education remains current with the latest research and best practices?
Like I've mentioned, we work closely with doctors and health professionals, so they ensure that we are always up to date with the latest research pertaining to the health and mental industry.
And how do you measure the impact?
We work with testimonials from our participants. So all our participants that are involved in our wellness activities, they give us feedback, and then we add them to our WhatsApp community, where they also have access to our professionals that are currently with PatientCare.
And what approach do you take on suicide prevention? And is it focused on universal education, targeted intervention, or both?
Right now, we're working with a targeted intervention, so with aims of students, community members. So it's very tailor-made with the research that we receive from our professionals and our experts in the field.
And what specific warning signs do your programs teach people to look for, and how are participants taught to respond?
All right. Right now, the most common warning signs is usually accompanied with phrases like, "one day you'll not see me again." And that can be coupled with withdrawal. People that are suicidal, they will tell you first before they act on it. It's usually a thought that first develops, and then it comes with phrases like, "you won't see me again, it's best if I just end my life." So these are the things that we want to teach our people, because sometimes we find ourselves in a position where we hear these things from our loved ones and our friends, but we turn a blind eye to it and we think that they're just bluffing. So we want to emphasize that once you hear something like that, you need to take action, because it's a warning sign for someone that is suffering.
How can the community at large help PatientCare, help reduce the suicide rate in the country? How can we be more involved to help people deal with mental issues?
All right, right now, that is why we started the health education department at PatientCare, so that we can raise awareness on these issues. Because if we do not educate the Namibian nation, then we will have a bigger issue, which is already at hand. The suicide rate is unbelievably high. So we need to give out the right tools for our people to be knowledgeable on these things, to make it easier for them to come on board PatientCare, to push this vision and to change the narrative surrounding the mental health crisis in Namibia.
How do you address the myth that asking someone about suicide will put the idea in their head?
All right, that one is, usually you cannot force someone to take their life. Like I mentioned, it's a thought. It came from somewhere, and this person was entertaining this thought. Sometimes we romanticize the idea of taking your own life, and that is what we sort of need to mitigate as PatientCare, because the information that we give out, we need to make sure that it is sensitive enough and it doesn't provoke or instill the idea of taking your own life.
And what does PatientCare, help? Someone comes to you and says, "Look, I'm struggling. I feel like, committing suicide." What's the first thing that you will do?
At PatientCare, we are a educational health company, tech savvy. So we do not report such issues. That is why we established this department to give out the tools to people so that they can know where to go. That we have Childline, we have Lifeline, we have hospitals, churches, community leaders that deals with these issues, and also the Ministry of Health. We do not report those issues, but we give the information so that they can know if this is happening, these are the channels that I need to follow.
I know, media, and of course there's been reports about many things, the cause of it. What do you think is the reason for all these suicides and all suicidal thoughts within or amongst the people in our nation?
There are so many. The one that I can name from the top of my head is the financial pressure, and we've all heard of black tax. It's very difficult in our ongoing and changing society where things are becoming more expensive, where responsibilities are always sky high. So navigating these complexities is not always as easy as we think. And in that moment, you think, I'm strong enough, I can handle this, until the reality kicks in and you can't. And because we do not have really enough safe spaces for people to unwind and release these emotional complexities, it makes it difficult. And then at the end of the day, they think the only solution is just them to end it.
Take their own life.
Yes.
So how do you work with schools and other community organizations to establish a crisis response plan for suicide-related incidences?
As we speak, we are currently reaching out to schools, universities, and other organizations through sending out support letters and basically telling them that PatientCare is here to fill the gap that they cannot reach. That is why we have established this department. So obviously, there are areas that our experts can't reach, and that is where we see ourselves coming in to fill this gap. So we are busy establishing partnerships and collaborations with these industries and organizations.
And what are some of the challenges that you face when you're out there, promoting mental wellness, information out to people? What are some of the challenges that you face, and how do you tackle them?
Well, like any other company, we do have a financial challenge because the material that we put out, the content that we create comes at a cost. And we do not have a lot of sponsors on board PatientCare at this moment. So we need the financial backup from the people that are in a position to, so that we can have a wider reach and actually get out more into the community and host more of these wellness talks and events, so that we can make sure that the information we disseminate reaches all corners of Namibia. And then also when it comes to content creation, we need to always be up to date with what is relevant, how to share these things, because it's mental health. So we need to be very sensitive with the type of information that we put out there in the world to avoid the idea of people romanticizing their mental illnesses.
And how do you address the social stigma associated to mental illness in your educational programs?
First of all, what we need to understand is that mental health can happen to anyone. No one is an exception. So that is something that we need to break. We have this, I want to call it an intergenerational conflict, where we come from a generation that it was considered a taboo to speak about your mental health issues, and then we have this new generation that actually wants to speak about it, that wants to make a difference. So that is what we need to break. That going to therapy does not make you weak. In fact, it makes you strong, because sometimes all it takes is a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on for you to navigate the complexities inside of yourself. Because if you do not take care of what is inside, how will you ensure that your environment and those around you are taken care of when you're drowning?
And how do you collaborate with other mental health professionals, such as therapists and counselors?
Right now, we have them on board as speakers at our events, where they are the experts. They have all the information. They have the tools that we are looking for. So they are the ones disseminating this information. So we bring the experts and the communities together to fill that gap, to give everything out.
I know there's this thing amongst, I don't want to call it black families, because I don't think that's the right word. But we have this thing, well, my family think that I'm always joking when I'm telling them about, my mental issues. How does your programs help families create a friendly environment for people to come and, speak about their issues with their relatives?
All right. We are busy establishing an app that sort of makes it easy for people to have access to our health professionals. And with our educational projects and activities, that is where we want to educate our parents that mental illness is real and it's okay to talk about it. So, and we have our WhatsApp community where all these professionals are linked. So every participant has access to that, and as well as our app that will be launching the first week of October, which creates an accessible platform for anyone from anywhere, from the comfort of your home, to have access to these people.
And what is the next major initiatives or campaigns your organization is planning?
We are planning a sip and paint, also linked with a wellness topic, and then we are busy working on community wellness walks with emphasis on families, where we want to use that opportunity to how can I say, not indoctrinate them, but make them aware of the complexities of mental health issues. And then we have the educational programs, and like I mentioned, the one that we're working on neurodivergence in the mainstream system. So we want to be very versatile in our topics and in what we do pertaining to the mental health industry, so that we can tackle as many as we can and give out everything that we have at PatientCare.
Cayleigh,
Yes.
I want you to look at your camera. That's your camera.
Okay.
And somebody is home is saying, well, I know it's easy for you to speak like that. I'm in this situation. I want you to talk to that person from your heart.
That I'm in that situation.
Yeah, I'm in that situation where
Yes.
I feel like committing suicide. You know, I feel like that's the last resort for my life.
Yes. I actually was in a situation like that. I did struggle with mental health for years, and it did reach the point where I thought that I have to end my own life. And here I am today. God helped me get out of that, and He gave me the biggest blessing, which is my daughter. Every time I feel that emotion stir up inside of me, I look at her. I listen to the way she speaks, to her laughter, to her movements, and that has become my pillar of strength. And I would encourage anyone that suicide is not the answer. Life is so, so beautiful out there. Even if you have one person, one friend, your mother, whoever it is that is there, that shows up for you, hold on to that. And do not be afraid to turn to God. Our spirituality is also very important. We need to fill every aspect of ourselves. And if you want to talk, you can reach out to us at PatientCare. I am there. I've been there. I can relate to you. If you don't want me to answer, I can just listen. But do not sit and suffer in silence. We are there for you.